Good morning and welcome to Rising. We've got another great show for you today. I am joined by Niall Stanage today and the rest of the week. Nice to see you, Niall. I don't know about you, but I'm in a horrible mood because I just got done paying my taxes.
Providing all the services that government has to offer, Robby.
Just an announcement, I am not even a libertarian anymore. I am, once again, a full-on anarchist. I want government just totally gotten rid of and destroyed. I am so furious about having to pay taxes.
Because you would rather not do anything for the public good.
No, I love the public good, but I hate the government. Hate it, Niall.
Well, on that cheery note, what is on your radar today, Robby?
Well, it's a different subject, but maybe a fun one to discuss. Child sacrifice. That's today's topic. What fun indeed. Look, thankfully, we're not discussing any gruesome child murders in the present. This story comes to us from the medieval period. So it seems that archaeologists have discovered an altar in a nature park in Guatemala where the temples of the ancient Mayan people still tower over the jungle. Now, this altar belongs to Tehuacan culture, the people who would go on to populate Mexico prior to the rise of the Aztec Empire. Archaeologists note it's clear the altar was in fact used for child sacrifice, a barbaric religious practice that was common among the Aztec, also the Maya to some degree, and other indigenous peoples. In fact, Lorena Paez, an archaeologist who worked on the discovery, says the altar was used especially for the sacrificing of children. She says, quote, "The remains of 3 children not older than 4 years were found on 3 sides of the altar." At this point, you're probably wondering why on earth this is the subject of my radar? Well, we're getting to that. An article about this discovery recently went viral on social media. That article by CBS News is unremarkable in most ways. In fact, the headline foregrounds the most newsy aspect of the discovery. Quote, "Ancient altar found in Guatemala jungle, apparently used for sacrifices, especially of children," archaeologist says. I would do that headline the same way. So far, so good. But eventually, the article consults an expert for commentary on the discovery of widespread ritualistic child sacrifice among indigenous peoples prior to the European conquest of the Aztec. CBS reports the following, and now I'm reading verbatim from the article. Maria Belén Mendez, an archaeologist who was not involved with the project, said the discovery confirms, quote, "that there has been an interconnection between both cultures and what their relationships with their gods and celestial bodies was like. We see how the issue of sacrifice exists in both cultures. It was a practice. It's not that they were violent. It was their way of connecting with the celestial bodies," she said. It's not that they were violent. It was their way of connecting with the celestial bodies. Well, it sounds pretty violent to me. And I'm hardly the only eager reader who tripped over this passage. Republican Representative Mike Collins wonders, first it was nonviolent, peaceful rioting. Now it's peaceful child sacrifices. What planet did these people come from? These people being media reporters who characterized such things in such a soft manner. The Daily Wire's Matt Walsh had a similar observation. You've heard of mostly peaceful riots, now introducing nonviolent human sacrifice. And Red State tweeter Bonchi notes, archaeologists find a Mayan child sacrifice altar, and CBS News is like, find me an expert who will praise this as nonviolent. The press are wild. Absolutely wild. So here are a couple thoughts. First off, it's not really surprising to me that CBS chose to run with this quote. If I asked some anthropologist of an assumingly progressive disposition for a quote and she went ahead and gave me this, I would definitely run it because it's hilarious and self-discrediting. But I'd also probably get a quote from someone who is, I don't know, a sane person to explain why maybe it's not totally a great idea to morally acquit the Aztec of violent ritualistic child murder. That's my problem. Did the author of this story not realize that people would object to that line going unremarked upon? It's not that they were violent. I mean, come on. You didn't think to get a second opinion on that one? Really? So why am I harping on this? I think it really does encapsulate why so many people, particularly conservatives, have lost complete faith in the media, to be fair and to be objective and frankly not insane. The mainstream media tells us we should remove statues of Thomas Jefferson, other problematic historical figures, but they use kid gloves when talking about indigenous brutality. This is truly, obviously absurd, and we all know it. By the way, because I am always interested in hearing out both sides, unlike too many journalists on both the left and the right, I did reach out to that archaeologist for further clarification of her comments, and if I receive a response, I will be happy to provide it on this show.
Well, Robby, I'm not going to defend the comment itself, obviously. The comment itself is a dumb comment, and certainly it's something that the reporter for CBS could have pushed back upon. So you should not say that people who are engaged in child sacrifice are not violent. Where I have bigger problems with it is that it has been recycled or seized upon in the service of this narrative that A, the media are always untrustworthy, and B, kind of tied by people like the congressman we mentioned and by Mr. Walsh to the criticisms of riots around the time that Black Lives Matter was at its peak, or in the wake of the George Floyd protests. The other problem, though, I have is that what the importance we are granting here to a dumb statement from an archaeologist about events approximately 1500 or 2000 years ago seems completely disproportionate to what has actually been done. And when we come to the bigger question here, you know, about the outrage that this has caused, we cited the Congressman Mike Collins there. Mike Collins, in the hours after the assassination attempt on President Trump, sent a tweet saying Joe Biden sent the orders for Trump's attempted assassination and suggested that charges should be pressed against Joe Biden. He obviously took that assassination attempt very seriously, as he should. A couple of months previously, he seemed to take political assassinations less seriously when he reacted to news of RFK Jr.'s supposed brainworm by tweeting, "You either die a Kennedy with a hole in the brain or live long enough to become a Kennedy with a hole in the brain." And a few days before that, there were protests at the University of Mississippi, and he retweeted a video of white counter-protesters mocking a black pro-Palestinian protester. And in that video, very prominently, was a white counter-protester making monkey noises at the black protester. And the congressman's view of that was Ole Miss taking care of business. So my question is it more damaging to have an archaeologist say a dumb thing about something 2,000 years ago, or for a sitting member of the United States Congress to engage in conspiracy theories about the then sitting president, to mock political assassinations, or to propagate symbols or behavior that is clearly racist?
I mean, the things you just described seem pretty bad. I have no interest in defending them and won't. I think they range from maybe a juvenile and unsuccessful attempt at dark humor with the Kennedy comment to just if he fully understood what was happening in the counter-protest and processed it, that was pretty awful and racist on his part.
I don't know how you could miss it. I mean,
that.
it's 8 seconds into the video and the white protester making those noises is in the foreground.
Yeah. Sounds like an obnoxious person who I don't really agree with and is bad, but I don't think that... Look, social media is not, on your broader point that is this the most important thing that has ever happened, the article about the Guatemalan child sacrifice. No. Social media is never correctly calibrated to the amount of outrage one should feel about a specific thing. And in fact, this used to be mainly a problem of I would argue, of progressive enforcement of a kind of cancel culture norm where somebody said something dumb on social media, maybe someone not as prominent and expected to be respectful and careful with their words like the representative, but maybe just a teenager, maybe even younger, or said it a million years ago, who has their life destroyed because of some tweet dug up. Whereas you would want them to be maybe criticized for it or maybe explain why that was not a good thing and then go on with life. And social media is not correct with that. Similarly, if what happens to this archaeologist is that she gets in trouble, I would be opposed to that. I mean, that's why I reached out to her comment. Maybe she doesn't speak English, and her comment was totally taken out of context by the reporter. But we still have to process why mainstream media outlets like CBS and others have totally lost completely the support. It's not all bad faith criticism they get from the right. They get some.
There's quite a lot of bad faith criticism.
Well, I don't think it's
I mean, there has been a
entirely bad.
decades-long effort in this country, going back at least as far as the founding of Fox News, but probably to the heyday of talk radio, Rush Limbaugh and people like that, to discredit the mainstream media in a very deliberate way, to cast everything it says as the function of liberal bias, and thereby to immunize Republican politicians against legitimate criticism from the media.
Well, that's where we part ways, because I think there is a lot of legitimate well, you would agree there's a lot of legitimate criticism of the media. I don't know. They also do fine reporting. Like I said, this article is mostly fine, but to not even occur to the person that you would... I mean, the broader context here is that conservatives will say the crimes, the genocide, the horrors of native life in the Americas prior to prior to Western discovery are underplayed by liberals who want to practice cultural relativism for native cultures, while attacking the West as brutal and evil enslavers and that, when the truth is that there was a lot of atrocity just among all peoples all across the world until modern times, and we have now successfully reduced violence the world over in most places, not universally, but in most places. And the idea of in my view, both ideas are ridiculous. The idea of the noble savages who were just lived in peaceful tranquility, that some people on the left, not accusing you of this, but I've argued with people who've sat in that chair before who had this view that everything was fine and they all just lived a peaceful hippie existence until mean old Christopher Columbus and Cortez arrived to bring that to reality crashing down. That is the attitude you get from some thinkers on the left. That is totally not true. And this was done a little bit in service of that incorrect viewpoint.
Well, we could discuss that history for a long time. My fundamental point is it is more dangerous for a sitting congressman to tweet the things I read out than it is for an archaeologist to make a stupid comment.
Well, I didn't vote for him and I wouldn't vote for him. So there you go. Next up is Trump defying the Supreme Court. His meeting with El Salvador's president, Nayib Bukele, is up next. Stay with us.